Something a little bit different today. What I'm reviewing is not a work of fiction, but a documentary called Art of the Fantastic, A Journey into Creation, written and directed by William H Niemeyer.
This is a documentary film focusing on the history, influences, and progression of contemporary imaginative realism, also known as fantasy art or art of the fantastic, as both pop culture and serious art form. The film will feature interviews and behind-the-scenes demonstrations with some of the biggest names in the industry, such as Michael Whelan, Boris Vallejo, Julie Bell, Donato Giancola, Greg Hildebrandt, Brahm, Dave Seeley, Patrick Jones, Volkan Baga, and myself, as well as a few rising new talents. It is the hope and intention of this film to show the importance of this genre of work, which falls into the category of illustrator art as fine art.
I feel very honoured. I was sent a copy of this movie and invited to review it. That's the first time that's happened for me. And I'm absolutely delighted to review it because I really, really love this film.
Think of the craziest looking person, dressed in the craziest clothes, in the strangest of places, with the most bizarre beings surrounding them. I have these images in my head.
It's about depicting something that's sort of impossible to see in everyday life or impossible for someone to photograph.
It's representing in a realistic way something that only exists in our imagination.
We're illustrating the ideas behind basic human conflicts and struggles.
All the great artists of antiquity have been called upon to render scenes that are based on mythology and imagination, but done in a realistic manner which can be appreciated by everyone.
The film considers the origins of fantasy art, from cave art through the history of art that explores fantastical and imaginative themes and elements in the works of artists like Bosch, Michelangelo, Leonardo, Waterhouse, all the way through to artists of the modern era, including a very interesting segment on Frank Frazetta. The film asks the viewer to consider why fantasy art has not traditionally been accorded the same high status given to more mainstream art, and raises some really interesting questions about why commercial or illustrative art is so often seen as something like the poor cousin of fine art.
I don't really quite see the fantasy market as being anything different than what painters have been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years.
But far from being just a historical survey, this film also delves into the process of creation itself and allows us to see behind the scenes into what goes into making one of these extraordinary paintings. It felt like a real privilege to be allowed to see all the stages involved in making the beautiful painting of Joan of Arc that's depicted in the movie, and it really is fascinating. As someone who has an interest in but not a great knowledge about fantasy art or imaginative realism, I found this film just so exciting and illuminating and really inspiring. And I found it particularly thrilling to see artists whose work I've long admired, like Julie Bell and Boris Vallejo, given the chance to talk about their inspirations and their working process. I understand that this film has been quite some years in the making, and the love that's gone into this film really shines through. It's a film that treats its subject with the respect it deserves, and it also invites us to view fantasy art with new respect. Art of the Fantastic, A Journey into Creation is a lush visual feast. It is absolutely beautifully photographed, and it is filled with jaw-dropping art that will amaze you. It is a really beautiful tribute to and appreciation of artists past and present working in the genre of imaginative realism. One thing I found myself thinking when I was watching this documentary was that I actually didn't want it to end, and I would love to see this extended or developed into a full series. Whether you're a serious art lover or someone who's just enjoyed imaginative realism or fantasy art on the covers of books or album covers, there is just so much to enjoy in this movie. And I found it so inspiring that it actually made me want to make more art myself.
Stripping away the artistic intent, what you're left with is, does this image communicate the stories that are relevant to our stories? And I think that's what makes a great work of art.
I don't know about you, but lately my faith in humanity has been a little bit shaky, and I found it so nice to see something that made me just have a sense of wonder at what people are capable of creating. And to me, that's something to be very much appreciated. At the end, I was just left in awe of the talents of the people involved in this movie and the talents showcased in this movie. And it really did leave me thinking, these artists and their work deserve every bit as much acclaim as more mainstream artists. And I really hope this movie will shine more light on the genre of fantasy art or imaginative realism. I would highly recommend this beautifully produced and visually stunning movie. It is just so full of incredible imagery and would just leaves you with so much to think about. I understand it's currently available for streaming on Vimeo, and I think the DVD is also available. I'll put the information down underneath when I have it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you get a chance to see this film too. I'll see you next time. Bye.